today's, I think I have shared the handout, and I hope it has already been shared in the groups. So question number 13, which is a pressing question among most of the Buddhists with regard to, based on their faith actually, based with regard to what to be done to the offerings that were made to the Buddha. Because pious devotees normally make offerings to the Buddha at home, and also they do so in temples as well. So how should we treat them, or how should we, when we are discarding them? Surely you have to discard them at a certain stage, especially when you have offered food and ornaments such as the offerings such as flowers and so forth. When they get withered, and when otherwise the altar will be dirty, so it has to be removed. And how should we treat them, those offerings? That's a pressing question, and many are quite afraid to deal with it boldly. So Mahathera has discussed on this question. What should be done with the food and drink offerings dedicated to the Buddha at monasteries and similar places? So this includes at your home as well. So first of all, we should know that if something is offered to the Buddha, that belongs to the Buddha, right? That's even though he has passed away. We have discussed this question in the previous questions, that who is the actual owner of an offering dedicated to the Buddha, even though he has passed away, even though he has attained the parinibbana, he is no more, but who is the actual possessor? If someone steals such offerings, what type of demerit one is accumulating based on whose virtues and so forth? Because if you steal from a normal ordinary person, you get demerits, and if you steal from the Sangha's property, obviously we would accumulate, we'll be unfortunate to receive a lot of demerits than stealing from an ordinary person. That is not to encourage stealing from ordinary people, but the level of demerit decides on the virtues of the person. And that's also applicable. The same theory applies in killing living beings. Someone might kill a certain ordinary being and kill his own mother. The two karmas have different gravities. That's obviously understandable in terms of Buddhist fundamentals. So if you steal something that is offered to the Buddha in the monastery, or maybe in the house, that is a taking away, that amounts to taking away a property that was dedicated or that belongs to the Buddha. So it's like stealing from the Buddha. So is it equal to stealing from the Buddha, a property from the Buddha who is alive? So that question can be asked. In my opinion, stealing while the Buddha is alive is a much severe, greater, heinous deed than stealing something offered to the Buddha who has already passed away. But anyway, but it's a very clear point according to the Theravada fundamentals, that stealing something that is offered to the Buddha or dedicated to the Buddha amounts to a great sin. So now, the clear point is, this is a property belonging to the Buddha. So now how should we deal with it? Because even though we have offered, after we have left the monastery, or we have finished the offering, the ownership is not automatically discarded. It doesn't automatically get vanished. So it doesn't vanishes. So it means the possession always is with him, unless he has discarded it. But there's a practical issue. Since he's not alive, how should we deal with it? If you think about a practical thing now, if flowers were offered to the Buddha while he was alive, and when they get withered, or when they're about to get withered, surely Venerable Ananda would discard them even without asking the Buddha. That's an obvious thing. That's what we do with regard to senior theras as well. If you are attending a senior Mahathera, or doing service to a senior Mahathera or a person, So normally what we do is we would take away when the things are getting withered or things are to be get rot, we would remove it even without asking the thera. Just beg your pardon. I just want to product off. Yeah, so normally that would be the procedure, and we can assume that the Venerable Ananda would have followed the same course with regard to the offerings that were made. But he would never remove. I don't think he would ever remove a robe that was offered to the Buddha, because it's something that can be used for a longer period. He would surely ask the Buddha's permission if he is to remove it to give it to someone, some other monk, and so forth. So now it's obvious that before it get rots, or it's becoming before it's going to defile the places, obviously we have to remove it. If the Buddha was alive, normally we would get the permission. But if some things are very obvious, like such as flowers, incense, and all those stuff, if they are going to make the place dirty, and if they are going to be no use for the Buddha anymore, surely we would remove it even without his permission. So that's why we obviously remove the food that has been offered after a few hours, and also after few sessions we would remove the flowers that were offered to the Buddha. But we have to always keep it in mind. We are taking out something that belongs to the Buddha, and we are doing it with a wholesome mind. We don't have the stealing mind, because we are doing it for the purpose of cleaning the place. But the problem is, now flowers, we surely throw it away. But what happens is with regard to the food, because those food, when we are taking away before they get rot, obviously we can use them. We can use them. We can consume them. So is it a sin to consume them, or is it a sin to give away to someone? That is the pressing question that is asked by Mahathir. Actually, it's a question prevailing among the Buddhists. Obviously, even today, people do ask this question very often. Then, with regard to requisites which are much stable or which can last long, such as robes, or maybe a jewelry, or some kind of ornament, or a flower made out of gold, or whatever permanent, like which can last long, when such a thing is offered, we are not allowed to remove it. Obviously, we are not allowed to remove that away. So the question arises, because, and we also know that it's not something, it's not appropriate to take it away, because it can be there. It could decorate that place, and it can be used for the purpose of maintaining the chaitya, or the pagoda, or the bodhi tree, or even doing some renovation to the Buddha statue. So the question arises, is focused mainly on the edible items that can be consumed. So are we just going to discard it? And just discarding is not an issue, because everyone knows it has to be removed. The pressing question is it a sin to consume for our own benefit? Now, I hope we first clarified the scope of our question. So first of all, we have to understand that it's whatever is offered to the Buddha, any requisite offered to the Buddha, requisites offered to the Buddha belongs to him. All the requisites offered to the Buddha belongs to him. Out of them, there are sort of stable ones. I'll just lay stable ones, which can last for long, such as robes, gems, and so forth. The list goes on. And then things such as flowers, lamps, incense sticks, right? So they can be discarded, and edible items. So there is no argument. We have to keep them. There's no doubt in it. right? You have to keep them. That's why it's a great sin to take away the jewelry or the treasures that were dedicated to the Buddha statues or the Buddha shrines. We call as a nidana. You're stealing them or taking away is a great sin. There's no argument in it. And discarding them is also not an issue. Discarding them is not an issue. Discarding, yes, because we know that it has to be discarded, otherwise it would defile or pollute the place. It is anyone, if someone argues, no, it belongs to the Buddha, it has to be kept there, we know it's a very foolish argument, or which doesn't have much validity. We are not going to consider it much. Even we know it belongs to the Buddha, but it has to be thrown away. Even when Ananda would have done it, and it's obvious, it's something very practical. The question that arises is, now edible items, can they be consumed? Instead of discarding, yes, we take it out, we are discarding it. Can they be consumed? Can they be consumed? Is it a sin? Is it a sin? This is the obvious question. Okay. Now, we have to understand, we are not supposed to take away the Buddha stuff freely because it belongs to the Buddha. Buddha is the owner, even though he's no more. And yes, certain things we have to remove, certain things we have to keep. And there's also a very interesting question, how to deal with them, how to deal with them. If they get decayed, the robes get decayed, and if they are attacked by the termites, or if they start to torn apart. So yes, then at some level we have to throw it away, obviously, if they get decayed, but it will take time. Things such as jewelry and so forth, yeah, they don't get decayed very easily, so we have to keep them. Or then how to deal with it, there's another in the long term, how can we deal with them, or what to do, right? What are the possibilities? This is another interesting question, which I'll discuss about this as well. Now, the first question is it a sin to consume them? So we'll go into the handout and directly discuss the topic. The Mahathera has given some information. After the passing away of the Tathagata, as the first Sangika Dana mentioned in the Dakkina Vibhanga Sutta, it is stated that one may place a Buddha image containing relics in the midst of the two groups of Sangha who have gathered. That is Bhikkhu Sangha and the Bhikkhuni Sangha, place a bowl before the image, first offer everything to the Tathagata, to the image, and then everything means like first offer the first portion, it should be corrected, this first portion to Tathagata, and then give alms to the Sangha, right? So what they are, because in Dakkina Vibhanga Sutta, we have 7 types of Sangika Danas. One is offering the Sangha, offering 2 types of Sangha led by the Buddha. Buddha Pamukha Ubato Sanghe. Now, bhikkhus are there, bhikkhunis are there, and the Buddha is also present. So offering its entire group is the first type of Sangika Dana. This would surpass any offering, any Sangika Dana. Because it's not possible, just offering to the Buddha is lower than offering to the Sangha led by the Buddha. Because Buddha is also present in there. Buddha was also present there in that group. So obviously that dana would surpass any offering made to any individual, because the highest individual dana would be offering to the Buddha, and if you are offering to the Buddha together with the Sangha, that has to be greater than the individual offering. Now, the instruction is given, now after the Buddha has passed away, how can we do this first type of dana? How can we I would say imitate this first type of dana? How can we at least make an attempt to give that dana? Is that to place the Bhikkhu Sangha, BKS, in one side, and Bhikkhuni in another side, and place a Buddha statue. What they are suggesting is together with dhatu, with relics, and make the offering first to the Buddha and then offer to the Sangha. Right? So instead of dhatu, in the ancient days, the Buddha was alive. When the Buddha was alive, Buddha was sitting here. Buddha was in the front seat. Right? So since the Buddha has gone, is no more, it would be better if we can offer these 2 relics. If we are unable to find the relics, we can at least place a Buddha image and do the offering. or if possible, yes, offer to a Paribhogika Chetya as well, but that seems not very practical. So either we offer to a Buddha statue or we offer to the relics. So that's what is normally done. And as a custom these days, when we invite the Sangha to our house, before offering to the monks, we place the Buddha Puja in the first place and then offer the Sangha. That's the custom that we are used to do. Now in this case, offerings are made to the Buddha and offerings are made to the Sangha. Now we see what Mahatera is saying. With regard to what should be done with the food and drink offered to the Buddha on that occasion, Dakinavibhanga Sutta commentary explains as follows. I'll just read the English quotation, translation. If something has been offered to the Buddha, what should be done with it? It should be given to a virtuous bhikkhu who does service, virtuous bhikkhu who does service to the Buddha. Right? There are some monks who are taking care of the shrine, taking care of the Bodhi tree, or the Buddha statue, who is doing the duties in the shrine room and so forth. He is the one who is considered making offerings to doing service to the Buddha. Since what belongs to a father, now it should be given to the attending monk. Now, who represents Venerable Ananda, for example. Now, any monk who is doing the cleaning and so forth of the statue and whatever shrine. Then the second possibility is, since what belongs to a father passes to the son, the son inherits what the possessions of the father, it is also proper to give it to the community of bhikkhus, sangha. You can give to any monk, to the sangha. So either the first option would be for the attending monk to take it. The second would be to give to the Sangha or to any monk, because monks are considered the sons of the Buddha, right? Taking oil and ghee, now if oil and ghee, such things are offered, right? If oil was offered, just pure oil, or ghee was offered, such things can be used for some other purposes. So we are talking about rice and so forth. If rice and such edible items are offered, yes, attending monk can consume it, or it can be given to another monk. But if things such as ghee and oil were offered, they can be utilized in other purposes, especially lighting lamps, or maybe to apply on some place for some other activity, I don't know, whatever. Taking oil and ghee, lamp should be lit. If a robe is being offered, a cloth is being, we cannot just give it to a monk. No, we cannot do that. A monk cannot just take the robe and use it or wear it. It should be hoisted as a flag, or it should be put as a sort of covering over the Buddha statue, or we can still keep it as a requisite to the Buddha, or we can make a carpet or such, whatever, as a screen or whatever. We have to utilize it for the purpose of the Buddha. So now, the permanent objects such as robes and so forth, we are not supposed to discard them. We are not supposed to give it to anyone. Even oil, which can be considered as an edible item, should not be discarded, because it can be used to light lamps. Now, flowers, incense, sticks, Buddha, the commentary has not discussed. Obviously, we are not going to use them. And when they are about to wither, or after they have withered, when we see that if they are still blossoming, yes, we should not remove them, because it would decorate the place. After their time has elapsed, yes, we can remove them. Then it's when you feel like it has withered, sort of, it has dried away, and it's in the dying process. Yes, in my opinion, at that time we normally take them away before it get withered, because it's not nice to have the withered flowers in the Buddha's altar. Then altar, sorry. So then edible items, yes, edible items monks can consume. It's very clearly mentioned. In accordance with this commentary passage, the proper procedure regarding food and drink brought and offered at monasteries and similar places should be explained thus. Now Mahatera is explaining, giving a sort of a practical explanation to this about commentarial passage. A bhikkhu who regularly performs duties at the monastery should take them. Anyone who performs duties should take them. If there is no resident bhikkhu who regularly performs duties, a visiting bhikkhu should perform the duties and then take them. Now, if there is a regular monk who is doing the duties in the Buddha shrine, yes, he can take them. Or otherwise, any monk who visits that place, can do the duties and take the edible items and consume them. That's possible. If there is no resident bhikkhu who regularly perform duties, a visiting bhikkhu should perform the duties and then take them. So either a person who is doing the duties regularly should take them, or someone who comes can do the duties and take them. If there is insufficient time to perform the duties first, so offered food and drinks may be taken and the duties performed later, right? And the duties performed later. So you can, if there's no time, because we are not supposed to eat after 12, so we have to consume, we can take the food and consume it and then do the duties later. That's also possible. If the attendants do not require them, the attending monks, okay, there are two types of attendants, either the regular residential attendant or a visiting monk who do the attending. And if there are no attendants, if the attendants are not in need of such food, then considering that what belongs to the father belongs to his son, any bhikkhu who wishes may take them. If the attendants are not using them, yes, any monk can take it, because we are the sons of the Buddha, so we are allowed to use what belongs to the Buddha, right? If he's not using it. If there is no bhikkhu to take them, it appears that there is no fault, even a lay devotee takes them. So he is very careful in using these terms. Even in the Sinhalese book, he haven't said it very directly, but he said it appears based on the knowledge, based on the fundamentals. If a bhikkhu can take it, if a bhikkhu can consume it, because we are also disciples of the Buddha, and monks should be given the priority, and there's no doubt about it. But if monks are not in need of, anyone should take it. So it doesn't seem like, if it is not a sin for the monks to eat what belongs to the Buddha, and we take it and consume it, it obviously appears as that even a lay person eating it would not cause a sin. So he's very careful. He's not giving a direct answer, but even I myself agrees. I also feel like to agree with it, because I don't see a logic why it would be a sin for a lay person to consume that food while a monk is allowed to do that. Right? So it's not because of our sila. Yes, we are considered there as children, but if we don't want it and we are going to discard it, instead of discarding it, yeah, we would obviously give it to an animal. Animals will come and eat it, and we are obviously, for example, a beggar would not know what type of food this is, and if it was offered to a beggar and he would eat it, no, I don't think there can be any sin in that. Right? So there is no bhikkhu to take them. If there is no bhikkhu to take them, it appears that there is no fault, even a lay devotee takes them. Food and drink offered must certainly be removed from that place to clean the altars. It's obviously, the altar has to be cleaned, and so it has to be removed. There's no argument. Even though it belongs to the Buddha, it has to be removed. It has to be discarded at one stage. If such food and drink are to be discarded and the attendants do not take them, then it seems that taking them by anyone whatsoever does not constitute a fault. Now he's justifying his statement, because it has to be discarded, and the priority in the hierarchy or list of hierarchy, the attendant monks should take it, then the monks can take it. If they are not taking it, and if it is to be discarded, it's obvious that someone consuming it would not be any fault at all, right? So poor travelers, beggars, and others who consume discarded food offered to the Buddha incur no demerit thereby. So he says that if it is given to a beggar, if it is given to someone, a poor person who is in need of, sometimes in some monasteries I have seen it's given to the workers in the monasteries, so who are working. Yes, we do it in some monasteries. So in such cases, Mahathera says, yes, obviously, it cannot incur a fault, incur a offense, right? If there is anything that can be used for the benefit of the shrine or the Bodhi tree in the monastery, it should be used for that purpose alone and should not be taken even by the attendants. So these stuff, even the attendants are not allowed to take. because these can be used within the monastery, within the shrine, and so forth. Stealing property that belongs to the Buddha is a grave offense. That's another point. Now, stealing, taking away something that belongs to the Buddha, knowing that it belongs to the Buddha, is not a good act. Right? This is the point. Sometimes you may get a question like, what happens now? In some sutras, Buddha has said, now some food was offered to the Buddha, he had rejected them, and he said, now what to do with this food? What to do with this food? So then the Buddha says, yes, put it into a place where there's no animals, or water, where there is no fish, or bury it under the soil. Because he says, I don't see anyone who could consume this food and digest it properly, because it was a food offered to the Buddha and he has rejected it. He has rejected it. This appears in few sutras. He says, Appanake udakeva opilapiya. So just dilute it, or just let it flow or just put it into a food, on a water, into a water where there's no creatures, or just like bury it, or to do something. So he goes and put it into water without animals, without visible animals actually. So then it would make a certain sound, chit-chitayati, chit-chitayati, sandupayati. The smoke comes out, and the people get so astonished seeing that, what happens to this food. And this, when you see the sutras, it appears that normally he rejects such food if it is being offered after him giving a Dhamma talk. So that's the procedure. Normally, after giving a Dhamma talk and pleasing the people, if the people get like faith, or delighted about the preaching, and if they think of offering some food to the Buddha, he normally rejects it, because it's not because he have preached the Dhamma in order to get the food, but society could easily accuse him, because he was preaching the Dhamma in order to get the food. So in order to avoid this accusation, because the people who would accuse will also get great demerit by accusing the Buddha, he normally doesn't do that. So that's the custom in all the offerings that we are making. If you have noticed, in monasteries, at houses, whether you are offering food items, or whether you are offering monasteries or kutis, whatever offering is made, normally in the ceremonies, the offering is done first, and then the Dhamma talk is given. Some people have an argument here. Shouldn't it be that we give the Dhamma talk first and make the person's mind happier, because he's going to offer it, because we are not asking for it. So if we say the benefits of this offering, if we say what are the great benefits, so his wisdom, samadhi, would get strengthened, and then he can make an offering with a greater wisdom. Shouldn't it be that we preach the benefits of the offering first, and then the offering should be done later? But the custom is, as soon as the ceremony starts, giving sila and starting the ceremony, the first function would be to offer the food. And then the Dhamma talk is given at a second stage, after food has been consumed, or after the building has been offered. The reason is this Buddha's custom, because he normally doesn't accept the food that was offered after he had given a Dhamma talk, because it could amount to a social criticism. It could have amount to a social triggered a social criticism, saying that Samana Gotama used to eat food after giving Dhamma talks, and someone can easily argue that one of his purposes in giving such talks and making them desirable is to get the requisites. So he left no room for that accusation. So that's why he would reject such food, and that's the custom that monks are following. So that's how the Dhamma talk practice was given. Bhattagavatta means the duties a monk should do in the dining hall. Bhatta is food, agga is house. It means, we normally say in Sinhala, dange. Dange means where the house or the place where food is offered. So, Bhattagavata, we are supposed to give a Dhamma talk after the lunch, after the meal, and it has to be done after the meal, not before the meal. We normally don't give the Dhamma talk before the meal because it could, because no one would say anything these days, but it would amount to the fact that it can easily get into lead to social criticism those days. And even today in some countries where people don't have that understanding, that these monks are preaching the Dhamma talk and then they are getting the food. Because in the Dhamma talk, we may keep on praising this dana. Now, for instance, imagine this. If I kept on praising, offering such and such food gives you great merit, giving the references from the sutta. Sometimes the devotee might think, okay, I don't have this food in this offering. Please bring that particular food and we are going to offer that. And this gives us a lot of embarrassment. We say, okay, since I have taught this, now listen to this talk. The devotee is making new initiatives to make the offering. So what we do normally is let the devotee perform his offering, dana first. Let him do it at his will. We are not interfering. We are not giving any hints on this. After the person has offered, yes, thank you for the offering, and these are the benefits that you get. So that's the custom. So in some places, if you want to leave, in very rare occasions, if you want to leave the house early, or if you're in a rush, because it's not a training rule, it's not a Vinaya rule that we must give Dhamma talk after the meal. That's the custom, that's the duty, that's the custom or the tradition that has been followed. But in some cases, even we have done in very rare occasions, if it is impossible for us to manage the time, we normally give the Dhamma talk first and then have the meal and immediately leave. But that is done in a very in situations where we have no options at all. The custom is, in a particular ceremony, we never do that. We normally make the offering, let the devotees make the offering, and then do the Anumodana talk. Even when they are offering such valuable items such as monasteries, buildings, and so forth. So now Buddha's rejection of such food, it appears that in sutras, it has appeared in few sutras that after he had rejected such food, and he himself has claimed that no one is capable, anyatra tathagatava tathagata savakava, or something like that, and others are not, but beyond the Buddha and Buddha's disciples, others would not be able to consume this and digest this. And that's a very special occasion, actually. That's a very, very special thing, because it appears only to the food that was offered to him, and it has been rejected by him. But after he has accepted the food, the leftover food, we can consume. It's very clear in the Dhammadaya, the Sutta. Buddha has said this, even it's mentioned in this lesson as well. Buddha says, imagine a situation where I have consumed the food and there's something left over, and someone comes and I ask the monks, yes, because they came without receiving any food, and there's enough time to consume food, and the Buddha would say, monks, there is some leftover food that I have consumed, that was my food, something that I received, so there's no doubt in it. Purified food, the Buddha would never take something inappropriate. So if you wish, you can consume this and spend your day. Then he gives the invitation. Then the monks, one monk would consume it and spend the day. The other monk would think, okay, I'm not looking for the inheritance of gain or the requisites from the Buddha. I want to be a higher of the Dhamma only. So then one would reject that food and practice being hungry. Other one would consume and practice. The Buddha say the prior, the one who rejects and practice is more praiseworthy than the other one. Other one is not doing any sin. It's not a fault. If he wants, he can consume it. And it's in a commentarial statement. I remember our Mahathera once told us, it should be in a commentarial story. Venerable King Bimbisara once came to meet the Buddha, and there was some food left over, and he had the smell, because normally divine beings include divine essences, food essences into the Buddha's food. So it had a very strong aroma. So the king Bimbisara wanted to eat the food, and Buddha asked Venerable Ananda or someone to give that food to King Bimbisara, and he ate it. So there is no sin in eating the food left over by the Buddha. The only thing, when he had rejected the food while it's been offered, so it is mentioned in sutras that others, normal people, normal beings are not allowed to, cannot digest that food. And it's also the living Buddha, not a Buddha who has already attained parinibbana. Right, so that also we should keep it in mind, and otherwise this question can arise in you. Now, thing is, yes, we are allowed to eat according to Mahathera. Yeah, obviously, according to commentaries, attending monk can eat. A monk who comes to the monastery newly, do the attending, do the cleaning, and eat it. If there's no time, with the intention of cleaning later time, we can consume it. Or otherwise, if there's no attendants are not in need, yes, any monk can take it and consume. And Mahathera says, if they are to be discarded, there's no offense in giving it to a lay person, so he can consume it. So it means like now when you are cleaning the altar at home, when you're taking food away, you are taking the food away to clean the thing, right? And then you are allowed to consume it. You are allowed to give it to a beggar. You are allowed to give it to animals, to your pet, or even you yourself, the devotees, can consume it. Although there is no fault for attendants in taking food and drink offered to the Buddha, refraining from taking them and merely performing the duties is praiseworthy. That's another thing. Whether it's a sin according to Mahathera, no. Because if you, for example, if you go and consider at the stealing mind, sometimes some children go and steal the food that was offered to the Buddha and consume. This is pure stealing. Because what we are doing here is, first you have the idea that I'm taking away because I have the intention of cleaning the altar, right? So it has to be discarded. You have to consider whether the Buddha have consumed or he has not consumed, whatever. He has not rejected it, right? So, and he's not alive as well. So we have to take it away. With the cleaning mind, we take it away and then we consume. That's a different case. But if someone had the intention or the mind of just taking it from the Buddha, this is a sin. This is a sin. It should not be done. It should not be done. So normally we keep some time. Yes, we allocate some time. Feels like, okay, it's enough. There's not no specific time actually, but normally we keep it for half an hour, maybe 30-40 minutes to the time it takes for a monk to consume a meal. And then when we are cleaning the bowls of the monks, we also remove the Buddha Puja. And that can be consumed. That's what the Mahathera's argument. Although there is no fault for attendants in taking food and drinks offered to the Buddha, refraining from taking them and merely performing the duties is praiseworthy. There is not much value in performing duties while enjoying the material requisites that are given to the Buddha. Because obviously, if you keep it as a custom, or if you get used to eat the food that is offered to the Buddha, in your subconscious law, in your mind, back of your mind, you feel like I'm going to consume this, and it's very difficult to get rid of the idea that you are doing the duties and you are getting the food that is being offered to him, so that it's very difficult to have a completely pure mind. Yes, we can have that wholesome mind, but we know I'm benefiting out of this attending. It's not that it's not about benefiting with great merit, but I'm also benefiting from the requisites or the food that is given to him. So just doing mere duties without any expectation about the food that is offered to the Buddha is greater, is praiseworthy. Obviously, that makes sense. The elder Ananda attended upon the Tathagata for 25 years. Ananda Thera did the duties to the Buddha for 25 years. He did not accept any material gains that accrued the Buddha. So, accrued the Buddha. So when whatever the merits that were accumulated in Buddha to the Buddha, he never took them. He accepted the position of attendant only after obtaining permission from the Buddha not to accept the fine robes and alms food offered to the Buddha. If some meals were offered, delicious meals or robes were offered, if the Buddha would give it to them, he would say, no, you cannot give it to me. I'm not going to accept it. Right? Even though I'm your attendant, yes, you will feel gratitude towards me. So it's natural when, for example, any monk, if he receives some extra requisites, the first thought that comes to him is, to whom should I offer? To the attending monks. And that's the same thought the Buddha had. after the enlightenment. He thought, to whom should I preach this Dhamma? Yes, first Alara Kala Muddakaram Putta, they helped him as a Bodhisattva. Yes, not to his enlightenment, but after his renunciation, they helped him to attain jhanas, and they were teachers, and they had suppressed the defilements for a longer period, and he thought they would easily understand this Dhamma. Unfortunately, they had passed away by then, and then the thought came, there were group of 5 monks who attended me, who helped me during the self-mortification period, and they also have abandoned sensual pleasure. They had become monks for a longer period, and they have practiced their monk sila, the Pabbajja sila for a long period, and they were helpful to me. So he thought of teaching Dhamma to them first. So that's the natural gratitude that we have. Normally, it also happened, once it happened to Venerable Ananda as well. He received, I think, 500 or some great amount of robes. Or he was regularly receiving some robes. So somehow, a big amount of robes at one time or at different occasions, somehow he gave it to one particular monk. Most of the requisites were given to that monk. Then the monk started criticizing why Ananda is favoring, because he had a higher position in Sasana, he was the closest to the Buddha, he was attending the Buddha, and he had 5 titles as a great disciple, unlike any other disciple. So he was a role model for many, and why is he just favoring one single monk? Shouldn't he distribute these extra requisites to many other monks who are in need? And when this accusation came, Buddha called summoned Venerable Ananda and asked, is it true that you are favoring one single monk? And he said, yes, I do favor one single monk, and with the purpose, because I'm attending you. I'm quite a busy monk, and I have a very tight schedule. He did attend the Buddha, and he also taught Dhamma to monks, and he also preached Dhamma to bhikkhunis. Especially, he was very much loved or liked by bhikkhunis, because he used to support them a lot. Even they respected, because he was the one who was pioneer in this discussion that facilitated this bhikkhuni sasana, that he convinced the Buddha to give the sasana to the bhikkhunis. So bhikkhunis liked him a lot, and he helped them very much. He preached them very much. And he had a lot of compassion towards the bhikkhunis. And also he helped the monks. He taught the monks very much. And he was liked by devotees, because devotees, when they wanted to attend the Buddha, to meet Buddha, the first what they do is they meet Venerable Ananda. That's normally what happens. If someone wants to meet a senior Mahathera, instead of directly going to him, we would talk with his attendant monk. So he was a very busy monk, and also he had to look into the monasteries and see the issues the monks were having and bring those issues, problems to the Buddha. If someone is sick, if someone is having an issue, he's the one who conveyed this message to the Buddha. And he also took care of the Buddha. It is mentioned that he didn't sleep for these 25 years, and he was circumambulating the Buddha's kuti 9 times every night. And he also had the duty of memorizing the entire teachings of the Buddha. And that's why that was a very busy schedule. Compared to the busy schedule that Venerable Ananda had, we are having nothing, I would feel. And he did them very, very accurately. He never had excuses that he's so busy that he would start forgetting things like us. No, and he managed things very well. But still, so the duties were very huge, and attending the Buddha, the most difficult task. Difficult means most responsible task. Buddha's health. He had to take care of Buddha's health. He had to take care of how the Buddha is seen by the others. Even Buddha could stand by himself as a glorious person, and Ananda also played some role there, and how he is being seen by the others. And when to attend, what is the proper time for a lay devotee to attend him? What is the proper time for monks to attend him? So and when is the proper time to invite? Because sometimes monks would convey the message to Venerable Ananda saying, we would prefer to get a Dhamma talk from the Buddha and would go and ask the Buddha at a proper time. He cannot just go and casually ask. He would wait for the exact time, go to the Buddha and ask him and convey the message. The monks are interested in making such a listen to Dhamma talk. Then Buddha would say, okay, prepare such a place. So I would give them I would give a Dhamma talk. In some occasions, Buddha had the interest to give a special Dhamma talk to the monks. So he would convey the message to Venerable Ananda. He's the middleman here. So he was such a busy person, and that's why he couldn't attain arahantship while the Buddha was alive. It's obvious. I don't think he would have time to meditate properly. And still he did his meditation. He did his meditation, but not to the level of fully dedicated to attain the arahanta or higher maggas. I think surely he would have attained Palasamapatti time to time with all the mindfulness he could maintain. So anyhow, he was such a so he was fully focused on the Buddha's duties and things around him. So what about his own duties? He was also of the same age with the Buddha, and he was born on the same day the Bodhisattva was born. So when the Buddha was getting into 70s, Buddha was getting into 60s, 70s, and Venerable Ananda was also getting into the same age. And he would also need, obviously, such an attendance. So there were monks who were willing to help Venerable Ananda, who saw the role played by Ananda. Venerable Sariputta was the one who knew the gravity of this work. He also had some sort of I wouldn't say a guilty feeling, I would say sort of a gratitude and also some sort of a responsibility about Venerable Ananda's duties, because Venerable Sariputta used to think, I am the chief disciple of the Buddha, all the duties of the father should belong to the chief son and the chief disciple, all the duties of the teacher belongs to the chief disciple, as all the duties of the father belongs to the eldest son. So it's my duty. So when the Buddha was hinting that he needs a permanent attendant, Venerable Sariputta was the first to stand and say, I would do the attending. Buddha said, no, you are not supposed to do that. You have different duties. You are like a big tree in the sasana. You have different, it's not your duty to attend me. You have much greater tasks in taking care of this sasana. And rejected him. He rejected. And Buddha would normally reject the attending of an arahant. And also, I think that also another thing to discuss, like normally if Arahant was attending, he would not have that love towards the Buddha because he had eradicated. He'll respect, the Arahant would respect the Buddha, but there cannot be an attachment, it's impossible. But a Sotapanna, who would not act like a Putujjana, so it's obvious, sure that he would not do certain akusala kammas. He had his he has his qualities and he cannot perform evil deeds, or it's impossible that he would change his faith like Sunakatta did. So Buddha would always get the attendance, permanent attendance from a noble being, and it should be a Sotapanna because he has not eradicated all the family. So it starts to mix with the love, care, and everything. With the faith, he has strong faith, the Buddha. At the same time, he had that feeling of belongingness to the Buddha. He didn't hurt other monks. He didn't act very foolishly, like completely possessing him, but it was a very nice mixture. So he loved him very much. He took care of him so much. At the same time, and he had the faith, he had the respect, he knew his space, he knew the space that should be given to the Buddha. So he was really doing the work very well. So Sariputta knew that even though he was rejected and he has different duties, he still kept it in his mind that Venerable Ananda is doing all these duties that originally belongs to me. I'm able to attend this different places in the sasana, some time to spend time in seclusion, be a role model to the Sangha, advise the Sangha, do all these duties because Ananda is taking care of Buddha's duties, Buddha's work. So he had such gratitude towards Ananda. So whenever he receives a new robe, whenever he receives a new patta or ball, he always thinks the first priority thought comes to Sariputta is to offer it to Venerable Ananda. So when Sariputta is staying away from the Buddha, and if one monk is attending that monastery where the Buddha is living, he would make sure that tell that monk, pay respect to the Buddha, ask his health, pay respect on behalf of me, and then go to Venerable Ananda, ask about his health, and convey my regards to him. He always does that. So Venerable Sariputta knew the role played by Ananda. He had such gratitude towards him. So some monks, I think most of the theras would have felt that in Ananda. So some monks used to do his attending. They supported him. Supported him is in turn supporting the Buddha indirectly, because when he's been well taken care of, he will be able to take care of the Buddha very well. So there was one monk who used to wash Ananda's robes, who used to clean Ananda's kuti. And while he is attending the Buddha's work, his personal work were taken care by some other monk. And one monk was pioneering. He was fully attending Venerable Ananda's duties, knowing his great responsibility. So Venerable Ananda had such gratitude towards this young monk. So what happened? Whenever he receives new requisites, robes, he would give it to him. So other monks felt it as some favorism. So when the issue came, Buddha asked, "Is it true that you are favoring one monk?" He said, "Yes, I'm not. It's not like I'm giving it to him because of the gratitude. I'm able to take care of you, Venerable Sir, because my work has been taken care by that particular monk. So I have so much gratitude towards him, even though he's young. So whenever I receive some extra stuff, I have a customer. I'm used to give it to him." Buddha said, "Yes, this is a great work, great thought, the great attribute of Venerable Ananda." And he preached Jataka, saying that Venerable Ananda was such, even in his past lives, not only in this life. He used to, he has a person who had strong gratitude towards the people who have supported him. So therefore, it's natural that we would give that things to the attending monk. But Venerable Ananda knew that Buddha would also have that feeling. Yes, surely he's a person who knows the value of gratitude more than anyone else. Surely Buddha would direct his extra offerings, and he would surely give some extra attention to Venerable Ananda. Surely he did it to Venerable Rahula because he was very helpful to him in samsara. He did it to he surely did it to Venerable Ananda, because then he also gave advice to Ananda, personal advice at his demise, and encouraged him. Even while Venerable Ananda was crying, he consoled him, and he told about his future, his capacities, his future arahanthood, and also he consoled him. So Buddha also had a lot of attention towards Ananda. So Ananda knew that if I start doing this attending, and he had the confidence that he would do it perfectly, and he had come for 100,000 eons with the purpose of being a Buddha's attendant, which is a very vital role in the sasana. So he knew he would do it perfectly, and he had the capacity to do it very well, and Buddha would surely treat him, give him some special attention. And Buddha is a person who would receive so much requisites because of his past merits. And obviously, the one who would benefit mostly would be Venerable Ananda. And if this happens, Venerable Ananda thought the monks would start accusing me, because I'm doing my attending with the expectation of gain. So from the very first moment, when he was asked, or he applied, or he took the position of an attendant of the Buddha permanent, and he said, "No. If only you are not pushing me, or if you are not giving me the extra robes or the meals or valuable robes or meals that are offered to you, if you're not directing to me, if you're not asking to me accept, yes, only then I will accept it. And I should not be allowed to sleep in the same room with you. Should not be allowed to sleep." So he asked for 4 rejections and also 4 allowance. I should be able to, should be given me to come to you at any time if there is a question in Dhamma, if I want to clarify something. I should be able to come and clarify it immediately. and I should be given the permission to know the time when to meet for the devotees, when to meet the Buddha, and I should be able to have that permission to bring them when I feel is the suitable time. He would know the proper time, but he should be given that key, or he should be given that authority to so he asked some allowances, and also he rejected for I would say possible gains that he would receive. So that's what it is mentioned here. He accepted the position of attendant only after obtaining permission from the Buddha not to accept the fine robes and alms food offered to the Buddha. May the bhikkhus who guard and look after the offerings at monasteries take the conduct of the Thera Ananda as their model. Yes, it is something that we have to think, because Venerable Ananda, while the Buddha was alive, didn't consume the food that was given to the Buddha, didn't accept the robes that were given to the Buddha. So when we are attending Bodhi trees or Buddha statues or relics, we are allowed to eat that food to be discarded, but it's better not to do that. That's what Mahathira is saying. Right. Then although the requisites offered to the Buddha belong to the bhikkhus as the sons of the Buddha, the Tathagata has declared in the Dhammadayada Sutta, Dhammadayada me bhikkhave bhavata ma amisadayada. Bhikkhus, be heirs to my Dhamma. Do not be heirs to my material, my material thing. Material things, right? Possessions. Indicating it is better for bhikkhus to be heirs of Dhamma rather than heirs to material gain. Moreover, in the very sutta, the Tathagata states that between two bhikkhus, one who quenches his hunger by eating the leftover food that remains after the Buddha has finished his meal, and another who does not eat it and spends the day fasting, the bhikkhu who refrains from consuming the Buddha's leftovers is praiseworthy. Who restrained from eating the leftover food is more praiseworthy. For these reasons, it should be said that it is good for all bhikkhus to live while abstaining from enjoying the material requisites that accrue the Buddha. So it should be said to the lay people as well. Yes, you are offering foods at house. It's better. It seems there's no sin in consuming them when you are going to discard them. It's better that you don't consume it. You can give it to a pet, or to maybe to birds or animals, or maybe to the ones who are in need, such as beggars and so forth. But better not to consume this, because otherwise you will not have that pure, it's difficult to have that pure mind while you are making the offering, because in the back of your mind you will know, I'm going to consume this if it is a very tasty food. So it's advised that not to consume, even though it seems there's no offense in consuming the food that should be discarded that should be discarded otherwise, right? Anyways. So then the next point is now how to deal with them. Before I go to the next question, I would like to take time on these things. What are the stable stuff? Robes, gems, and so forth. We are not allowed to take them. We are not allowed to give it to someone. And even the oil, ghee and oil, should not be taken or should not be consumed, because it can